In the UK, we've got all kinds of rollercoaster layouts, from simple predictable ones to completely chaotic designs that seem to make no sense at all. Some stick to the classic formulas that have been around for decades, while others take a much wilder, more experimental approach. Looking at both side by side really shows how diverse rollercoaster design has become. So, what actually makes a layout traditional, and what pushes the coaster into the unconventional category? For the purpose of this video, a traditional layout mostly consists of very common elements put together. Vertical loops, corkscrews, coveralls, that sort of thing. Think of it like building in Planet Coaster using only preset pieces. There's usually little to no innovation, resulting in elements having nothing new or surprising. Unconventional layouts, on the other hand, are much more creative, possibly using terrain to make something crazy. They also usually have some form of element that has never been seen on any roller coaster before, that just doesn't make any sense. We'll get onto a few of those later on. These types of layouts are just so stupidly stupid that they're just amazing. Here in the UK, we're lucky enough to have quite a few examples of both types of layouts. Take Stealth at Thorpe Park, for example. You launch out the station with a stupidly powerful hydraulic launch, straight into a top hat, over an airtime hill, and then you're sitting on the brake run. And I don't know why, but it does remind me of a certain ride in America, one that mysteriously disappeared about 7 months ago. Don't get me wrong though, Stealth is a great ride, and coming from someone who hasn't exactly ridden many coasters yet, I really enjoy it. But I can see why some of the extreme enthusiasts could complain about its very copy and paste layout, just like most of the other big hydraulics out there. And Stealth's not alone. A lot of Nemesis Inferno's layout feels pretty traditional. You've got the vertical loop, the zero-G roll, the corkscrews, etc, etc. The only thing even slightly unconventional is that extremely fun pre-lift section. Honestly, it's one of my favourite parts of the ride purely because of how silly it is. I do think B&M likes sticking to their traditional layouts, but no hate to them at all, because their rides are still relentless and quite often ridiculously forceful from start to finish. And yes, although I did just say B&M like their conventional layouts, Mind Your Mayhem is anything but conventional. It's their first and only family-launched shuttle wing coaster. And honestly, it has to be somewhere in my top 10. It even features one of the only 3 Genius Scorpion tail elements ever built, and the only one ever done by B&M. Plus, having a helix as the main element is just silly, but somehow it really works. Combined with the shuttle aspect, I genuinely can't think of a more unconventional B&M layout. And while we're talking about this kind of layout, what's more unconventional than Hyperia's? For starters, you've got a hyper that inverts, and yes, it is a Mach hyper, so it can, but traditionally, they don't really go upside down. Then, instead of heading straight into an airtime hill after the drop like you'd expect, you dive into an Immelman before flipping through a world's first Outer Banks inversion death roll extravaganza. Add in the dive loop stall, throw in a few final airtime hills, and you've got yourself an absolutely insane layout. Well, except for the splashdown. Because Thorpe Park, you silly geese, why did you get rid of it? Honestly, Hyperia has one of the most unique layouts in the world, and we need way more coasters like this built everywhere. Like, maybe in my garden, McFuds, please? That begs the question, do you actually prefer traditional layouts or the crazy unconventional ones? Traditional layouts give you comfort, predictable pacing, smooth transitions, and yeah, they usually work. But unconventional layouts, total chaos. They break rules, make no sense, and they're often way more memorable. Personally, I think unconventional layouts are usually better, but we definitely need a mix of both. Too much of either will just get boring, unless you're flying fish. Then that never gets boring. But what about you? Which do you prefer? Let me know in the comments, as I'd be interested to know. Luckily for us in the UK, we've got quite a few stupidly stupid unconventional layouts to choose from. Take the original Intamin 10 Looper, Colossus at Thorpe Park. Maybe it's not the most unconventional layout out there, but anything that tries to squeeze 10 inversions into a single roller coaster is absolutely mad. The quadruple Heartline rolls feel like you're in a washing machine on max spin. Anything that feels that crazy instantly fits into the unconventional category. Taking it a step, or should I say 4 steps further, you get what might be the craziest layout on any UK roller coaster. From above, it looks like burnt spaghetti with toxic yellow cheese placed weirdly on top. That's talking about all the yellow theming parts of the smiler. Yeah. Anything that looks like that has to count as unconventional. And back at the same park, we can't ignore Nemesis Reborn. On paper, it's a very traditional B&M invert layout, but it's the amazing use of terrain and how it fits into its location that makes it so unconventional. Many people even call it one of the best UK roller coasters, and honestly, I can see why. And we can't forget Gold Rush at Drayton Manor. Whoever thought of implementing 2 different ways the train can cycle had a bigger brain than me, that's for sure. Sometimes it's not the layout itself that's unconventional, but rather the ride experience. Take The Walking Dead The Ride at Thorpe Park, a perfect example thanks to its mid-course brake run. Now, if you've never heard of this coaster, I know what you're thinking. How the flip-flop can a mid-course brake run feel unconventional? Honestly, the stop-start, stop-start, stop-start thing is hilarious. The first time I rode it, I was in absolute fits of giggles. And the best part? This is a junior coaster. And then there's the flip side, an unconventional layout with a very traditional ride feel. I can't think of any coasters in the world that are unlucky enough to ride this way, let alone in the UK. But with a whopping 21 creds, I figured that I probably wouldn't be able to find any. If you know of any coasters like this, I'd be super curious to hear about them, so please let me know in the comments. So which kind of layout is ultimately better? The old school traditional ones or the crazy unconventional ones? The answer is that there is no clear answer. It's mostly up to personal preference, as unconventional rides ultimately seem to have more of a wild ride experience, so if you don't like intense transitions, then you probably are more likely to prefer the traditional layouts. Personally, I do prefer unconventional ones, but that's just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments, because I'd love to know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video, or at least got a laugh out of the few jokes I could think of. If you did, consider checking out some of my other videos, or maybe even subscribe, because there's plenty more coaster nonsense on the way. Thank you guys so much for 50 subscribers, it means so much to me, and I won't be stopping creating anytime soon. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Until next time, catch you later.